Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About Book. I am Straub,
And I'm Smeevca.
and we are doing a podcast on Mistborn, The Final Empire, the first book of the trilogy. And Smeevca has not read it, but I have read the first Mistborn trilogy, and then I've been reading other Cosmere stuff recently.
Yeah, because you've been, on Era 2 shit.
Yep, I just finished Bands of Mourning, which is book 3 of Era 2. There's 4 books in Era 2.
Yeah.
And then I just started Oathbringer, which is book 3 of Stormlight, and I've been reading the, Arcanum Unbound, or Unbounded, something like that. A bunch of, short stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Of Cosmere stuff.
Yeah, so they have had major book brain.
Yeah, and it's been fun also to go back through book 1 and see little bits and hints and just what all's already here.
Yeah, and so it's and then I hear that there is stuff that gets said so casually, and I'm like, what is this stuff that's said so casually that
I don't know what you're talking about.
that comes up later? Just throwaway lines, and I'm like, but it's does that mean there's stuff in here that's not going to be important in this book that I'm going to have to wait until later books to have that mean something? I don't know.
It's more just you'll have a appreciation for it, and it's oh, it was there all along type of thing, which is fun.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely been in Cosmere brain, so.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably get started.
Yes, we should get started, and we should get started with.
Well, first of all, we left off. Oh no, we can start off with the intros.
Yeah, because we normally start with the intros. Although I guess maybe we could start with a recap instead of starting with the intros.
Yeah, we left off with them finding out that they heard something about Cayman's lair being found.
Yeah.
Where Vin was previously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, her old crew.
Yeah, we just hear something happened
at
the end of chapter. At the end of chapter 10, it's just something happened at that place, and it's uh-oh, dun dun dun, and now, new episode, and old Lord Ruler bit, because they're always at, the end of the chapter, but we like to start with that one, and then go till the end of, we get to see all those little bits right up front.
Yeah. Alright, so the first one, it seems Rashek represents a growing faction in the terrace culture. A large number of the youths think that their unusual powers should be used for more than fieldwork, husbandry, and stone carving. They are rowdy, even violent, far different from the quiet, discerning terrace philosophers and holy men that I have known. They will have to be watched carefully, these terracemen. They could be very dangerous if given the opportunity and the motivation.
Also, we were gonna say this earlier, and then didn't. We're still, because this is early podcast days and we've never done this before, we're still messing with our audio setup and whatnot. So this episode sounds different. That's why. Hopefully it's not different worse. Hopefully it's different better. Or different neutral.
Either, yeah.
But yes. The terracemen, and they have powers. They have these powers and whatnot. Which at the end of the last episode, I was like, "What is that? What is that?" And I'm still like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
But now it's now I have just more questions. By the end of this section, I'm 5 more chapters in, and I just have more questions about these terracemen powers. Because I'll get to it. We'll get to it. because they just casually say things, and I'm just excuse me, and I scribble notes, and I get no answers. I just have more questions. Although I have some answers. In this section, I got some answers and more questions.
Yep. That is absolutely Brandon Sanderson to a T.
Yeah, and it's been real fun. This has been a very fun section, but we should continue on.
Yeah. Let's do the next intro paragraph thing. What would it be like if every nation, from the Isles in the south to the Terrace Hills in the north, were united under a single government? What wonders could be achieved, what progress could be made, if mankind were to permanently set aside its squabblings and join together? It is too much, I suppose, to even hope for. A single, unified empire of man? It could never happen.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I really do... when was Mistborn? When did this book come out initially?
Date?
Yeah, or year.
I need to look that up.
I mean, I assume that, I can only assume that this is post Wheel of Time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Wheel of Time existing, because it just it feels so intentional. Mm-hmm. It's Rand's I gotta unite everybody, all of mankind, under one blah blah blah. It's I gotta unite all these disparate kingdoms or whatever.
Yeah.
It's it's just it gives me that. And then it's also funny because I was listening to this today. I listened to that bit because we had listened to chapter 11 together, and then I was I thought I might re-listen to chapter 11, but I didn't. But I started with chapter 12, but I did re-listen to that little bit at the end of chapter 11.
Okay.
And I'm it doesn't have to be an empire. So you're out here it's got to be an empire.
Yeah.
The empire of man. It's maybe we could have some different kind of governmental structure, just maybe you didn't have to jump to empire. Maybe we could all unify in a different way.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's interesting. It's he has these ideas.
Yeah.
It's I'm the big good man, so I should rule over it all, and I'm gonna defeat the deepness, and I'm gonna be the big cool man. And it's going to be great. Mm-hmm. And it's turns out, maybe not. Maybe it'll be great for you and a handful of people, but everyone else is actually going to suck pretty hard for them.
Yeah. So I'll do the next one before chapter 13. I know that I shouldn't let a simple packman perturb me. However, he is from Terrace, where the prophecies originated. If anyone could spot a fraud, would it not be he? Nevertheless, I continue my trek, going where the scribbled auguries proclaim that I will meet my destiny. Walking, feeling Rashik's eyes on my back. Jealous, mocking, hating.
Yeah. Rashik. What's up with that? Was that in the previous one as well? A growing faction or something?
Yeah. I don't think they mention him by name, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because it's we're getting maybe you're a false dragon after all.
Yeah.
Someone.
Yeah.
Saying. Questioning, as it were.
Yeah.
It's but he is a terraceman.
Yeah.
It's the terrace prophecies and all that.
And the next one. Sometimes I wonder if I'm going mad. Perhaps it's due to the pressure of knowing that I must somehow bear the burden of an entire world. Perhaps it is caused by the death I have seen, the friends I have lost, the friends I have been forced to kill. Either way, I sometimes see shadows following me. Dark creatures that I don't understand, nor wish to understand. Are they perhaps some figment of my overtaxed mind?
Yep.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting.
Sees something.
Sees something. And
is he going mad?
Am I going mad again? It's
which
just
is very...
it's if I hadn't read Wheel of Time, I wouldn't be saying any of this, but
I had the same thing because I think I was around the same part in Wheel of Time when I read Mistborn as you were, or you are, and I'll probably think the same way after I'd finished the series, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is it's fun.
It is. It's fun, but it's also there's the part of me that's just I don't know, needs some sort of confirmation. Is this intentional? Is this a reference? Is this? I mean, it is insofar as it's like he's working with established like tropes and stuff. Like
right. He knows what he's working with, and he's very familiar and a fan of the tropes in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so
yeah, it's like
and you're aware of them, and so you're kind of
mm-hmm.
looking for where
they line up,
and where he's messing with them or going with them.
Yeah, because it's also like I haven't actually read like a ton of like fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy fantasy and whatnot, and but it's just like for anything that I like, I feel like I have not experienced the breadth of it, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like if I had read some other fantasy thing, I might be going, that's like that thing, rather than just pointing to Rand all the time.
Yeah. Although, like, Wheel of Time is a pretty big staple, like, in kind of modern fantasy and, like, the genre, like, the modern genre itself and stuff. A lot of people inspired by it and everything.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, and also it's, like, especially considering Sanderson's sort of, like, direct history with Wheel of Time, you know? I don't know if he wrote Mistborn before he wrote the end of Wheel of Time.
I believe he had already written at least some of Mistborn when he worked on Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure... Oh, yeah! Because I'm pretty sure Harriet read, like, read, like, an advanced copy or something like that, or read, Mistborn.
Yeah.
And... that she ended up signing him for, like, getting him for Wheel of Time when Robert Jordan died.
Gotcha. Just worry about...
Yeah, the blanket moving. I'm under a blanket, so...
Yeah, this is, at one point I had suggested as a potential name for this, the Kotatsu Book Club, because we do have a Kotatsu that we record at, which is like nice because it's like we have this little table in this little space that we just like hang out.
A kotatsu is a heated table, by the way.
Right, like specifically, like if you're not familiar, it's like because like you say heat because like I hear heated table and that like conjures.
That's true, like a tabletop or something.
Yeah, like almost like something that you would like heat food on or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's like because it's like.
So it's a frame of a table with a heater like on it, like in it, that's like mounted, and then you put a blanket on top of that, like a comforter, and then there's a tabletop that goes on top of that like keeps it in place. Right,
because it's like because I'd seen these before in like anime and stuff, and it just looks like a table with blanket coming out of it.
Yep.
And then like actually seeing one put together for the first time, I was like, oh, it's like there's the legs. It's like this is just the legs, and then you put a blanket over it, and then you put like the top on top, and that like holds it all in place. But then it just like
it
makes sound.
Yeah, you can see that on the waves.
On the waves. Yeah, it was just like everything makes noise. As the person who edits this, I'm suddenly aware of just that like everything makes noise. And some of it I'm like, it's fine. You can hear pages turning. That's that good book ambiance, you know? But I just don't want,
want other sounds. I got you. I'll try and be
It's like it'll be what it is. It's like we're not out here to be the most professional people in the world. We're out here to have fun. But yes, so what were we talking about book-wise?
We were still going through the beginning bits.
Right, and
we were talking about sometimes I wonder if I'm mad, that section where he was seeing shit.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what to say, buddy. Maybe you're mad. I don't know. So I'm just like I ain't got nothing for you.
You don't have enough. I
don't have enough context. Yeah. I'm really interested to, because like while I was reading this section, I started having this whole thing about like, is the Lord Ruler even like around? Does anyone see him?
Yeah.
But then it's like no, actually, apparently people do just fucking see him. Kelsier says, it's like, oh
Yep.
yeah, I've seen
Yep.
him like in person
Yep.
multiple times,
Yep.
and I'm
Yeah,
like,
he's,
oh.
Yep.
So what's this fucker look like? Describe him to me.
Alright, I'll read the next one. I don't know why Quan betrayed me. Even still, this event haunts my thoughts. He was the one who discovered me. He was the Terrace philosopher who first called me the hero of ages. It seems ironically surreal that now, after his long struggle to convince his colleagues, he's the only major Terrace holy man to preach against my reign.
Yeah, that's interesting. What was that guy's name?
Quan?
Yeah.
It is not spelled how I thought it was, because I also listened to the audiobook like the first time, and I have the physical copy. It's with a K. Kwaan.
Kwaan. I was thinking like Kwon for some reason.
I was thinking a Q. I should have known.
Yeah, no, it's like Q makes sense, like for sure, which is why it couldn't be Q. Which is why it had to be
Yeah, you're right.
them's the fantasy.
I should have known. I should have known.
It's the fantasy bullshit at you. I have like such a love-hate relationship with like that kind of fantasy bullshit. It's like the like I was an English major and I took a bunch of linguistics classes and stuff, and I have like a big interest in like constructed languages and whatnot, right? So it's like, you know, not everyone has to make a full conlang for their thing, obviously. And so people just like come up with stuff.
Yeah.
And then I have to see just like apostrophes everywhere that I'm just like, why? Why is there an apostrophe there? And it's like, because it looked cool, and it's like, sure. This apostrophe is just making it harder to read. Like, at least make your apostrophes so that the thing's easier to read. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like, I remember, like, Matt Mercer, Brennan Lee Mulligan, Abria Iyengar, they have, like, a video where they're all, like, talking about DMing, since they're all, like, big D&D DMs. And one of them says it's, like, just throw in some apostrophes. It's like you give it that fantasy sound, just throw in some apostrophes, and like on
your soul.
Yes, I'm just like dying a little bit on the inside, just like no, the apostrophes. What do they mean? But anyway, so this guy supported him, but then it turned out he's like, nope.
Yeah, Quan.
Yeah, so it's like, what's up with that? What the fuck is up with that?
First called him the hero of ages, and he's the only major Terrace holy man to preach against him. And then we also read the did you read the bit before chapter 16?
No,
in the next part?
I did not actually. All I read was Children of a Bleeding Sun.
Okay, that's fine. We'll wait and do that.
Yeah, we can
next time, because that's at the start of
at the start
part
of chapter
3.
16. Yep, part 3. I said Children of a Bleeding Sun, and I wrote it down like shit's metal as hell.
Metal.
Yep. I didn't even think about that. I was too busy thinking about metal as hell, because I was like, But I also, in my notes, apparently wrote Children of a Bleed Sun. So
of a bleed son.
So good on me for that. But like, there's so much in this section.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my.
Yeah, and we've already been going for 20 minutes, so we should probably.
Yeah, well, you know, time is an illusion.
Exactly.
I already made that joke last episode, I think, which I recorded. I did record it. I edited it. I edited it. God.
That's a rough one.
Edited it is the worst. I edited that episode like just the other day, which is why I was thinking time is an illusion.
Yeah.
But anyway, my notes for chapter 11 were just listened with Straub, the old base got fucked up and Cayman got hooked.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's so fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So they realized that the lair was found. So I highlight a few little sections. So when they first find like the rest of the crew, Vin this is what kind of what Vin sees. Yet none of those incidents had the same air of intentional butchery that she saw in Cayman's lair. These men hadn't simply been killed, they'd been torn apart. Limbs lay separated from torsos, broken chairs and tables impaled chests. There were only a few patches of floor that were not covered in sticky dark blood. She stood looking over the death, feeling numb. What should her reaction be? These were the men who had mistreated her, stolen from her, beaten her. And yet these were the men who sheltered her, included her, fed her, when others might have simply given her to the whoremasters. Reen probably would have berated her for the traitorous sadness she felt at the sight.
It's like, man, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's all fucked up. Like we finally get to see was it the Steel Ministry? Is that what got them? Who got them?
An Inquisitor.
Yeah, because like a Steel Inquisitor got them. A Steel
Inquisitor, yeah, from the Ministry.
So from the Ministry, like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, we finally get to see them, like, not in action, we get to see their aftermath.
Yes.
And later, I get to see them in action.
Yeah.
Which is a whole thing.
Yes.
But yeah, we just get to see this, like, aftermath. And Vin has her mixed feelings about the whole thing.
Yeah, and she finds Ulif in there.
Yeah.
And they also find I'm gonna skip ahead because I highlight this part about Sazed, but I'm gonna skip ahead about this first.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they leave here and because Cayman was kicked out.
Yeah, was previously kicked out
by Kelsier.
Mm-hmm.
Almost said Kaladin. I've been reading Stormlight.
Haha. See, cause now you can fuck up a name.
I'm sure I will. Kelsier and Kaladin. I can't be reading both at the same time. It's a problem.
Yeah.
I actually had a bit where I was like confused for a second in like Oathbringer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Kaladin was blah blah blah, and I'm like, did they say Kelsier? But it was not, and it was,
yeah, because it's like he has them make Cayman a beggar.
Yeah, I got really distracted. I'm sorry, I got on a tangent there.
No, you're good.
Yeah, made Cayman a beggar, so he was not like in the lair. He was down.
Yeah, he was out somewhere else. I'm bad at like knowing fucking maps and places, and like people get described going places, and I'm like, we sure are going somewhere, aren't we?
Yeah. They just went a bit down the.
Yeah, just like a bit down the road.
Yeah, and they find Cayman,
and he's up on a fucking hook.
Yeah,
and not in the way you'd expect.
Yep. Cayman, crew leader turned beggar, hung quietly from a rope tied far above. His corpse spun leisurely in the breeze, ash falling lightly around it. He hadn't been hanged in the conventional fashion. The rope had been tied to a hook, then rammed down his throat. The bloodied end of the hook jutted from his skin below the chin, and he swung with head tipped back, rope running out of his mouth. His hands were tied, his still plump body showing signs of torture.
Yep.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, Cayman, obviously bad.
Yep, horrible.
But also, it's like, man, you hate to see it.
Yeah.
Like, you hate to see that kind of, like, fucking... Because, like, in an earlier bit, when they're describing the shit back at the lair, Kelsier says some shit about, like, you can tell the person that had been made leader instead of Cayman, right?
Yes, that's,
that, like, he clearly, like, died slowly.
Yes, Myliv.
Yeah, which is, like, it's like, you didn't have to say that, Kelsier.
Yeah, he was killed slowly. Look at the amount of blood on the floor, the way his limbs are twisted. He had time to scream and struggle. Torture, Dodgson said, nodding.
Yeah, it's like, damn, Kelsier, you
didn't... Yeah, they were worried about their base being found.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and basically getting the information out of this crew.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's also I highlight a bit of Sazed stuff in here.
Yes, I'd forgotten about the Sazed stuff, but Sazed does like a prayer.
Yes. He does. The room fell silent, save for a low mumbling from Sazed, who stood at the far left side of the room. What was that? Vin asked as he looked up again. A prayer, Sazed said. A death chant of the Kazi. It is meant to awaken the spirits of the dead and entice them free from their flesh so they may return to the mountain of souls. He glanced at her. I can teach you of their religion, if you wish, mistress. The Kazi were an interesting people, very familiar with death. Not right now. You said their prayer is... Is this a religion you believe in, then? I believe in them all. Vin frowned. None of them contradict each other? Oh, often, and frequently they do. But I respect the truths behind them all, and I believe in the need for each one to be remembered. Then how did you decide which religion's prayer to use? That one merely seemed appropriate, Sazed said softly, regarding the scene of shadowed death.
Yeah. Whenever we were listening to this, I said that it kind of reminded me of, like, Buddhism.
Yeah.
I think I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah, you did.
Because it's like Buddhism, I think... See, it's like, I was going back and editing the other episode where I was talking about Japan doing its, like, kind of, like, going through and getting all this, like, folk stuff, and I'm like, I just said that as if it was true, and I don't, like, know that for certain. That's, like, a thing that, like, I kind of remember from a Gaijin Goomba video from, like, years ago. So, like... Who even fucking knows? So I'm hesitant to be like, this is a true thing about, you know. But I think Buddhism is one of those religions that's like, you know, it's sort of like allowing for you to be a little flexible with it. Because like, I remember my mom talking about having a friend growing up who was Vietnamese and I believe was Buddhist, and they had like a Jesus room.
Okay.
They had like they had like some Jesus stuff, and they were just like, sure. You know, it's like, so we can incorporate this, and so, you know, that, and also the heavily, like, we've talked before about how at least in the audiobook they just made Sazed Asian, and so that also, I'm sure, is informing the whole like Buddhism angle, because I'm like thinking about it like through that lens.
There's also, like, he's got stretched ears and such, which is, like...
Yeah, because, like, I know there's, like, some of that, I think about, like, NL.
One Piece
had, like, the really stretched ears.
Yeah, like, a lot of, like, statues and stuff.
Yeah, with, like, the Buddha and stuff, and they have, like, the longer ears.
Yeah.
And, I wonder what's up with that. I should look that up sometime.
I've looked at it a little bit just because, like, I'm stretching my ears, so I'm interested in the process and the history in general and stuff, and its use in like other cultures.
Because you're into all the like body modding.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like you are interested in it.
Interested in it, yeah. I don't have a ton, but
even if not necessarily always in a way that you're like, I'm gonna do it. It's still just like,
it's like fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And like the way it's used in different cultures and things is always very
and
fascinating.
It can get pretty like extreme.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, it's crazy what like the body can do.
Because you can really stretch your ears into like some big things.
Yeah.
And the people who do like the lip.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is, like, and I didn't realize this until recently. It's another tangent, but it's all right.
Yeah. That's what podcasts are about.
I mean, you're not, like, technically you're not stretching your ears or your skin. You're like growing.
Right.
Like more skin, like new skin.
Yeah.
Which is why using like oils and stuff that promote skin growth like helps, because like that's just like the process that you're doing. Yeah,
because it's like tearing, but then like more skin like grows to like fill.
Yeah, well,
not even so much tearing.
Yeah, you try not to tear.
Right. It was like, you know, because it's like it stretches and like.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I don't know. It's not like just like fucking tearing a hole or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like there's like obviously initial like piercing, but that's like a different kind of thing.
Right.
That's not fucking tearing a hole. So you don't want it to like tear, but it's like it is like stretching, and then like more cells like divide so that it's like it can I mean, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I don't know.
I think that's right.
Yeah, because it's like the cells are just otherwise just being like stretched out. And they're like, I'd rather not be stretched like this. So just like grow and divide more around it.
Yeah, and so then it's looser and like less tight around the piercing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
That makes sense.
Anyway.
Are we?
We were talking about Sazed.
Yes, that's what it was.
In this like whole scene, there's also a little mention, like Vin thinks earlier, of Vin thinking of like how she was led along on this trip. Mm-hmm. Kelsier was a Mistborn, and Doxson was supposedly a capable warrior. Ham and his men were securing the area. However, others, Breeze, Yeadon, and Clubs, had stayed behind. The area was too dangerous, and Kelsier had even resisted Vin's desire to come. Yet he had brought Sazed without apparent hesitation. The move, subtle though it was, made Vin regard the steward with new curiosity. Why would it be too dangerous for Mistings, yet safe enough for a Terraceman steward? Was Sazed a warrior? How would he have learned to fight? Terracemen were supposedly raised from birth by careful trainers.
Yeah.
Yep. And so then we'll get into... there's another...
So much highlighted.
Yeah. Yeah, this is another, like, Vin and Sazed bit, where,
And it is Sazed, I wrote it down. And it is Sazed.
Oh, the pronunciation?
Yeah, at least that's
the
how
way
they
say
pronounce
it.
it.
In the,
Yeah, Sazed instead of Sazed.
People have their arguments.
Yeah.
Sazed, 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 like...
Mm-hmm.
Those three pronunciations and then variations on those three are, So I'm just like, what everyone feels right in the moment is how I'm going to pronounce it, and I don't really care.
Yeah, that's always the thing with books.
Yeah, there gets to be, like arguments about that stuff like that, and I do not care, like...
Yeah. It's funny, because again, it makes me think of conlanging and stuff, and you try and make a word and make it be like, is this gonna make sense and be readable to people to a certain degree?
Yeah.
But also it's like the guy who made Dothraki, like the full language for like the Game of Thrones TV show, he's like he wrote a book, and I have the book and I've read the book. It's The Art of Language Invention by David J. Peterson, and he talks about somewhere, either I think it's in this book he talks about it, where he's like, I looked at Dothraki, the word itself, and I'm like, okay, it's Dothraki, but apparently George R. R. Martin pronounces the word Dothrakai. And like he's like, no one's gonna look at that word and read it that way, so for the show it's gonna be Dothraki. And he's also like, Khaleesi, he has this whole thing where it's like, I could either change, like, it's like with the way that I had set up the language, Khaleesi spelled that way would be pronounced different from Khaleesi.
Okay.
But I know that everyone who's read the book and seen that word is going to pronounce it Khaleesi.
Yeah.
So it just gets to be Khaleesi. It's like, it would be Khaleesi with the way that he had, with the way that he had come up with stuff. But he was like, but no one's going to read it that way. Yeah. So it can just stay Khaleesi. Don't worry about it. It's spelled differently because it is. Because it is. It happens sometimes. And so it's like Sazed, Sazed, Sazed.
Yep.
It's like, it's really just...
That's actually a common one I've heard in other, like, podcasts and stuff.
Sazed?
Yep.
Yeah.
I, like, would not have thought that, but, like, it seems like it is.
Also, George R. R. Martin has said that he doesn't care about people not pronouncing the names correctly, except that that apparently he's heard and doesn't like Jamie being pronounced Jame.
Okay.
Jame, something like that. Jame or Jame.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. I'm like, who looked at that and was like, Jame? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Jime.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, it's like I can kind of see it, but it is funny. It's like, because also
if
it's
you
like
don't pronounce the E at the end.
Yeah, because it is kind of weird to say Jamie.
Yeah.
For being, it was like Jame.
Yeah.
Instead of James, it's just Jame, singular. Singular Jame.
Singular Jame.
But anyway.
All right. we're going back to the chapter. I never said like what chapter. I don't think actually.
Well, I mean,
it's chapter 11.
Yeah, no, we said it was chapter 11, right? Because like we started with chapter by chapter stuff, and so. It's like,
oh yeah, you're right. Not bad.
We're still on the first chapter.
Yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, I was reading this little bit between Vin and Sazed, where Vin's trying to eavesdrop on Kelsier and docks in for a second and burns Tin. Was over Mistress Vin, if Master Kelsier wanted us to hear what he was saying, would he not speak in a louder voice? Vin shot the terraceman an angry glance. Then she reached inside and burned Tin. And then she listens to the conversation.
I did like when I was reading, when we were like listening to it together, her just like immediately being like, yep. Man.
Doing it anyway.
Yes.
Then Kelsier nodded. Ham, he said in a loud voice, causing Vin to jump. Sazed looked down at her with disapproving eyes. He knows something of allomancy, Vin thought, reading the man's expression. He guessed what I was doing.
It's like, I mean, he fucking hangs out with Kelsier. Of course he hangs out with all these mistings in Kelsier.
Yep.
He calls him Master Kelsier because he's like his steward or some shit. I don't know. So it's like, of course he knows about allomancy. That's the least surprising thing I've ever heard.
And then so another spot I highlight real quick was just a depiction of the Lord Ruler, Kelsier's just like going by. I just thought it was an interesting like little bit. Kelsier entered a large crossroads square. 4 wells sat in its corners, and a massive copper fountain, its green skin caked and blackened by soot, dominated the square's center. The statue depicted the Lord Ruler, standing dramatically in cloak and armor, a formless representation of the deepness, dead in the water at his feet.
So no, like, physical characteristics, just the Lord Ruler in cloak and armor.
Yeah. Yep.
In the formless darkness of the deepness, which we see more of throughout. In the later chapters, we see more formless depictions of the deepness. So
yeah, we have a bit to cover.
Yeah,
in this, we may need to break it up actually into 2 episodes.
We might, because the thing is that the last one was also like a similar amount of time, but I feel like just a lot more happened.
Yeah.
And also we've been going on tangents.
I knew that there was action coming up. I forgot how, like, dense it was with, like, new stuff and, like, stuff to talk about. So we may want to split this into 2 episodes. We might. Which is fine.
Yeah.
Like, we can just record and then find a spot to, you know.
Just, like, find a stopping point and then
re-record an intro or whatever. Do something like that. Yeah. We got it. So the next bit I wanted to talk about real quick was just, Vin followed Kelsier and sees Cayman and everything. We're back caught up to Cayman. Right,
back caught up at that point. Yeah, because it's like it's funny because you were like, you said afterwards, it was like, I remember that, like, it's like, but doesn't Vin go with him?
Yeah, when we were listening to it.
Yeah, it's like, afterwards, you were like, I remember this, like, Vin went with him. Why isn't, Vin
in the scene? Right, she follows, and, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, she follows him, and, which, yeah, and she's gonna do that again.
Yeah, she has that, inclination.
She does.
Yeah, so there's a little thing real quick is he gets a little mad at her and she starts cowering because she's had a rough life. This could have been dangerous, Kelsier said. What were you thinking? Vin cowered further. Kelsier calmed himself. You can't blame her for being curious, he thought, as a few brave beggars scuttled in the street after the coins. Kelsier froze. It was so subtle he almost missed it. Vin was soothing his emotions.
Yeah.
He glanced down. The girl was obviously trying to make herself invisible against the corner of the wall. She seemed so timid, yet he caught a hidden glimmer of determination in her eyes. This child made an art of making herself seem harmless. So subtle, Kelsier thought. How did she get so good at so quickly? You don't have to use allomancy. I'm not going to hurt you. And then he explains, it's not good manners to use it on your friends, and also it's nobles are you shouldn't do it in polite society.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm now thinking about people talk about fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
There's also the fourth one, which is fawn, if you've ever heard of that.
Yes.
And fawn, if I understand it correctly, is like you sort of start acting because like you're trying to like placate them essentially. You know, it's like try to and so like Vin has kind of like a flight and fawn response, like hide and soothe.
Yes. Yes.
You know. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Her trauma response.
Yep. Yeah, and so then the last thing I think in this chapter is them talking about why the hook killing for came in. Why the hook, Vin asked. It's a ritual killing reserved for the most reprehensible of sinners. People who misuse allomancy. Cayman was an allomancer? Kelsier shook his head. He must have admitted to something heinous during his torture. Kelsier glanced at Vin. He must have known what you were, Vin. He used you intentionally. Then the ministry knows that I'm a Mistborn? Perhaps. He could have assumed you were misting. So yeah.
Yeah. Yep, so there's... yeah, no, I remember at the end of this being like, yeah, so there's, like, some danger.
Yeah.
But it's not like, they don't, like, know who she is, per se.
Yeah.
And so there's, like, some danger, but it's not, like, the most, you know. And then, over the course of the next...
and then they go to Craddockshaw.
yeah, and then over the next 4 chapters, like, what if we just went to Craddockshaw? What if we just went to the Lord Ruler's house and just walked right in?
But he's not gonna be there. It's one of the days that he's not there.
Listen, he's not gonna be there, which obviously means no one's gonna be there. But that's...
It went great last time.
It went so well last time. I mean... But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're definitely getting ahead of ourselves.
That's chapter, like, what, 13, 14
I
shit?
think so. We've got a noble party first.
Yes, because chapter 12 is Vin's first outing as My Fair Lady.
Yes.
Her My Fair Lady training comes into play. And she's... And I have notes. I'm going to take a bit of water first.
No, you're not allowed to. Also, can I have a sip?
No, you're not allowed to.
Well, I spilled it all over myself, so.
Nice. That's a secret technique. Spill it all over yourself.
Exactly.
So, funnily enough, my first chapter 12 note is Vin thinks maybe the Lord Ruler's whole deal is a scam, and I like that.
Okay.
Where she's like... So, like, the deepness, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the deepness. Why is it always this, like, formless darkness? Why not show the thing that it actually was? Like, just show it. So, like, maybe the Lord Ruler is just making up this whole conquering the deepness one thing to legitimize himself, in the eyes of the people and be like, well, this is why I deserve to be the Lord Ruler, because I defeated the deepness after all. But maybe he didn't actually do that. Maybe that's just a bunch of shit. And I'm like, Vin, I like it.
Yeah. Central to many of the windows was the deepness, black, or in window terms, violet. It was formless, with vengeful tentacle-like masses creeping across several windows. What was it, she wondered? The deepness. Why depict it so formlessly? Why not show what it actually was? She never really wondered about the deepness before, but Sazed's lessons left her wondering. Her instincts whispered scam. The Lord Ruler had invented some terrible menace that he had been able to destroy in the past, therefore earning his place as emperor. And yet, staring up at the horrible, twisted thing, Vin could almost believe.
So, I guess, like, a bit more context, though, is that, like, Vin is going to this party.
Yeah.
And so she's seeing these, like, stained glass.
Yeah, stained glass windows at Keep Venture.
Keep Venture.
I believe it's...
Is it?
It is at Venture's place.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Venture's definitely important.
Yes.
In all of this.
Probably the most important house.
Right, yeah, they talk about
house
that.
right now. One of the most powerful.
Yeah, and so it's like, and she talks to Lord Venture.
She talks to Ellen Venture.
Yes, Lord Ellen Venture.
Yes.
Don't you? How's Ellen spelled? I'm curious.
Elend.
Elend.
Mm-hmm.
I was really close. I put 2 L's.
Ah.
But otherwise had it the same.
Yes, she does speak with Ellen Venture.
Yes, but does not know that he is Venture at that
yes.
time. But yeah, so she goes, and she's going with Sazed.
Yes, as he's being her Terraceman steward, because it's common to have a steward go to these events.
Yep, and he's like, here's what you do, don't dance with anyone. You can just politely refuse them because we didn't have time to teach you how to dance.
Yep.
Which is funny. We can dance if you want to, but actually we can't because I didn't learn how to dance. And he's like, yeah, just like, we're going to get you a table by yourself, which will show that you're single.
Yes.
And guys will come and ask you to dance once you're done eating, but also once you're done eating, I'm going to go to the steward's dinner because there's important stuff that I'm probably going to want to hear there.
Yeah.
So just like chill, behave, refill your wine, but not too much.
Yeah.
Don't have a, don't have an Elaine moment.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Don't be Elaine from Wheel of Town.
Don't drink a single cup of wine.
Yes. Yes, Elaine being like, I've never drank before, and drinks a bajillion cups of wine and gets real drunk. But no, Vin doesn't do that. She just talks to some boy.
Yep.
My next note though is not about that.
Okay.
We're not quite there yet. My next note is Vin sees how the other half live and how they can't see how the ska live.
Yep.
And I spelled ska like the music because I refuse to put the second A because it's funnier that way. So yeah, she's like, you know, is all they can see their like parties, their balls, and they can't even see how bad it is for everyone else. And it's like, that's how it works. It's the system in action.
Yep.
And just gonna drop a Vin father reveal on me out of the blue.
Yes.
It's just like, she's like,
Yeah,
oh, I
just
recognize
looking
that guy.
around.
That's my father. What? Yeah, fucking, I'm blanking on her brother's name now. Reen. It's like, oh yeah, Reen pointed him out to me one time. There's my dad. Anyway.
And moving on.
Don't want to deal with that. And I'm like, it's like, oh, your dad's here? That's, well, okay then.
Yep, and he's it seems to be a high-ranking obligator.
Yep.
People seem deferential to him.
Yes. And then I have Lord Elland Venture. At first, just Lord Elland, because I wrote his name down whenever it got said. Yes. But I liked him. He was fun. I can tell that they've got a little thing between them. Yeah,
they seemed to, or at least Vin seemed immediately comfortable around him.
Yep, that's what she says in the next chapter.
Yeah.
And you can tell. It's like, she definitely, like, you can tell just reading it that she's immediately a bit more Vin around him, in a sense.
Yeah.
But also, she kind of gets into, in the next chapter, how even Vin is a bit of a face, a bit of a put on, in the same way that.
Yep.
What's her fake name?
Lady Valette Renew.
Okay, Valette. I did have that written down. I do have it written down here, but I was like, where is it? Yes, Lady Valette Renew is a disguise, but also Vin is a little bit of a disguise. But that when she was talking with him, she was a little bit of a secret third thing, which was herself.
Yeah, which is I really like that.
Yeah, it's cute, and it's my, like, to skip ahead just a teeny bit, my first note for chapter 13 is Vin is confused by the concept of actually liking people. So she assumes Ellen used the allomancy. Yeah, pretty much. But no, she has a nice conversation with him. And then, because, like, he's just, like, reading. Yes. He's just reading out on the balcony, and...
Well, she steals his spot by accident.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he just comes and he's like, I'm just gonna read my book anyway.
Yeah, and then she's like, you're not, like, asking me to dance or whatever, like these other people are. And
he's like, do you want to?
Do you want to? And it's like, well, no, because I am whatever.
Yeah.
You know, she has, like, her excuse or whatever. And it's like, why? Oh, yeah, because she's like, why are you just, like, reading and not, like, doing ball stuff? Like, why even come to the ball? And it's like, didn't you turn down every guy who asked to dance with you? You're like, well, I have a reason, actually, and it's that I can't dance. And that was just, like, a fun little bit with them. And then Sazed is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? You mean Lord Ellen Venture? And I'm like, Venture, you say? I remember that name. Because Kelsier went and fucked up House Venture's shit.
Yeah.
To get their ATM.
Yep. ATM. We did get an ATM description in this bit.
Yep. Yeah, chapter 13 we get ATM. Is there any more from chapter 12 that you want to read?
I think I highlight some stuff, but let me see. We've mostly gone over it. I think it's just some specific there was this little bit where she just kind of thinks about, like, why she's staying with the group or whatever that I thought was was good in chapter, I think this is 12, Reen's training told her that these men were fools, but she was tempted, enticed by the possibility that Kelsier and the others offered. In the end, it wasn't the wealth or the job's thrill that made her stay. It was the shadowed prospect, unlikely and unreasonable, but still seductive, of a group whose members actually trusted one another. Yeah. She had to stay. She had to know if it lasted, or if it was, as Reen's growing whispers promised, all a lie.
Yeah, she just wants shit to be good.
Yep.
She wants
but
actual companionship.
She also really is afraid to want that.
Yes. Yeah, she's afraid to hope, but she also can only hope.
Yeah.
That, like, things go well, and she's like, I actually want this to be as good as it all seems like it'll be, and which of course it's like, which makes me worried.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
No, don't you.
What?
Don't you tongue and eyebrows me.
I don't know what you mean. What if I'm just winding you up?
I mean, you could be, but, like, meh. But yeah, she just wants friends, or at the very least, non-toxic coworkers.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Or, like, some nice people.
Yes, just finally some good fucking people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's.
So we got that. Just talking about what she should look at in doing her, her kind of listening and stuff, like what to look out for. Just checking if there's anything specific I want to go over. Going into the ball. I liked this bit of Vin kind of getting herself together going into the party.
Yes. Yeah, I did too. She's like, it's like hiding.
Yeah, where she's, what am I doing? She thought frantically. She could challenge mist and allomancy, thieves and burglaries, mist wraiths and beatings. Yet facing these noblemen and their ladies, going among them in the light, visible and unable to hide, this terrified her. Hide, find a corner, shadows, mists, anything. And then, she sees people kind of, like, looking at her and whispering, renew, and she glanced apprehensively to the side. Several women were looking at her, yet it didn't feel like they were seeing her at all. They were studying the gown, the hair, and the jewelry. Vin glanced to the other side, where a group of younger men were watching her. They saw the neckline, the pretty dress, and the makeup, but they didn't see her. None of them could see Vin. They could only see the face that she had put on, the face she wanted them to see, They saw Lady Valette. It was as if Vin wasn't there. As if she were hiding right in front of their eyes.
I like that.
I really like that whole scene.
Yeah, I like her being like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Yeah.
It's like panic. It's all leaving me.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Wait a minute." And then she gets her stage confidence almost.
Yeah. She's like, I'm playing a character. I can do this. I've done that.
I'm hiding.
Exactly.
In plain sight. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so then kind of describing Keep Venture.
Yeah.
Or the Venture main hall and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he points out the dining table of Lord Straff Venture, which is one of the main ventures.
Lord who Venture?
Lord Straff Venture.
Straff?
Yes. Straff.
Straff, huh?
Yes.
Spelled like it sounds.
Yep, right here.
Spelled like it sounds.
The dining table of Lord Straff Venture.
Okay. I was like, where? I couldn't tell where you were pointing because I was looking at like this thumb and not that thumb.
My bad.
No, you're good. But yep, I see. Straff Venture. I just think like venture capitalists.
Yeah. Yeah, so then there's also you talked about Vin realizing that the noblemen like weren't kind of seeing Ska or whatever, like realizing their thing. And there's also oh, that's not what this is. Never mind. This is talking about like the obligators. Actually, there were a fair number of obligators at the party. They strolled about, mingling with the partygoers, and yet there was an aloofness to them, a division. They hovered about almost like chaperones. The garrison watches the Ska, Vin thought. Apparently, the obligators perform a similar function for the nobility.
Right, and like it kind of reminds me of sort of like medieval nobility versus like the church. The church versus the nobility, where it's like there's like this weird sort of like, you know, it's like church is like, we answer to a higher power.
Yeah.
And so it's like we have some power over you because holy whatever, but y'all are like the nobility that like do shit.
Yeah.
But also we see this interesting thing where it's like they kind of, it's like,
so obligators are more like the kind of government officials. It's just also a religious position.
Yeah.
Because it's a theocracy.
Yep, so everything's kind of a religious position.
Yes. So obligators are closer to actual kind of doing the everyday government positions.
Yeah.
And the nobility
Yeah, because it's like this is like this weird moment where one of the nobles is like, I swear that I'll do whatever, and the obligator like writes it down.
Yes, he's a witness to it.
Yes, and I'm like, that's interesting. What's up with that?
Yeah.
I wanted to like make a note about it, but I didn't even know what the note would be.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find that specific little.
Yeah, it's like such and such would be the first that I do whatever.
Yes.
And the obligator's like, yes, I'll write it down. I will officially witness this. You know, I'm a notary.
I'm going to read the rest of this little section. It was an odd sight. She'd always thought of the noblemen as being free, and truthfully, they were far more confident than the Ska. Many seemed to be enjoying themselves, and the obligators didn't seem to be acting really as police, or even specifically as spies. Yet they were here, hovering about, joining in conversations, a constant reminder of the Lord Ruler and his empire. Let's see if I can find. I think it might be the next page. She's trying to listen in on the obligators, and so she has to turn on her copper first, and then
because she's tin. Like, I'm gonna turn on my tin. Wait, I should turn on my copper.
Yes,
then my tin. Order of operations.
Yes, exactly. And then she hears, "Swear that I'll share news of my engagement with him before anyone else," one of the pupils said. Vin opened her eyes a slit. It was one of the noblemen at the table. "Very well," said the obligator. "I witness and record this."
Yep.
The nobleman reached out a hand and coins clinked.
Yeah, and there's like money involved with that.
Yep.
Like, it's like Is this like an important thing? Like can I see it again? Can I see it?
It's this little bit here. Oh, sorry. This is the actual quote.
Yeah, swear that I'll share news of my engagement with him before anyone else. And then it's like, that requires an obligator to, like, witness it and you give him money for it?
Yeah.
Like, all just to be like, I'll tell you about it first, I promise. See, he certifies that I promised to you that I'll do it first, and I even paid him about it. It's like, is that really necessary? It's interesting.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it'll be important that obligators perform that kind of role, or if it's just kind of like a sort of flavor thing about the aristocracy and sort of like
the kind of control or whatever of the day-to-day lives, if they're having kind of something so mundane witnessed, you know?
Yeah, and also even just like how much
culture.
Yeah, and like how much money they have to just like toss around to like an obligator, because like Vin's like, I can't like use my coins too much because like money is so important to me, and so like has historically been so tight, and these guys are like, here's a couple coins for you to remember that I said that I'll tell this guy about my engagement first.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, again, Vin sees how the other half lives.
Yep, that's definitely get to see noble life and such in the Final Empire. And we talked about, just like this little bit about talking about how often they have these balls, which is almost nightly, it seems.
Yeah, Sazed's like, oh yeah, they happen all the time.
Yeah.
That's why you come to Luthadel, for the parties.
Yep. It's where the politicking happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, jump to, she sees her father, which is... Yeah, like you said, just thrown in there.
Yeah, just like, casually. Oh, here you
go. Yep. And so then we get to goes up to the balcony and talks with Elend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Him reading at the ball and all of that.
How old are Vin and Elend?
I believe she's 16.
Oh.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ellen is about the same age, maybe a teeny bit older.
Okay. I was wondering if they were, like, 18 or not.
Yeah, I believe right now she's, like, 16.
Yeah.
Because it's been a few months since, like, the beginning of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But yeah, okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because they talk about, like, how young Vin is, but it's also, like, you know.
Yeah, you're like, in, like, Kelsier's perspective, who's, like, 30s, you know.
Yeah, so it's, like, young could still be, like, 18 or some shit. So it's, like...
Yep, so, okay, with Elend, and then she meets up with Kelsier and realizes it's Elend Adventure, and we're on to chapter 13.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yep. I already said my first note about Vin being confused by the concept of liking people.
Yeah.
Vin is just as much an act as Valette, which I thought was interesting.
Yes.
Vin has a crush but doesn't realize it yet. How old are these two? I forget.
Maybe he used allomancy on me, she thought at the start.
Yeah, it's like, boy, I was using copper the whole time, so like it's fine.
I'll be more cautious next time.
I'll be more cautious next time.
She assumed they would meet again. They'd better.
Yeah, well, it's like, oh yeah, and then I also have, perhaps real proof Renew is not a fake. Said he met Ellen 4 years ago, but Kel has only been out of the pits for, like, about 2 years.
Yeah.
And also, if that was, like, 4 years ago and he's, like, 16, 17, that boy was, like, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Who even knows what this kid is like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, I feel you, Vin. I'm also bad at describing people because she has a hard time describing her dad to Kelsier. And I have more notes, but there's 13 is the chapter I have the most notes for, so.
Yeah. So there's, Yeah, talking about Ellen, and so yeah, she distracts him with, "I saw my father at the ball tonight," she said, hoping to distract Kelsier and the others away from Lord Bencher. Really? I recognized him from the time my brother pointed him out to me. What is this? Vin's father is an obligator, and apparently an important one if he has enough pull to go to a ball like this.
Yep.
Do you know what his name is? Vin shook her head. Description. Bald? Eye tattoos?
Very good, Vin.
And yeah, and so then Kelsier leaves, and he's too nonchalant about it, according to Vin, and too secretive. And so then she follows him.
Yep, it's like he's up to something. He's being too nonchalant.
Yep.
And then it's so cool.
Yeah.
The fucking I have Metal Road cool as fuck.
Yep.
It's one of my notes.
Yeah, so that's how Kelsier's been hopping back and forth between Luthadel and Felice so easily, is that roadway.
Yeah,
Metal roadway.
So it's like... I feel like, because I'm so bad at like visualizing things, but it's like these little bars.
Yes.
And they're like embedded in the ground.
Yes.
And is there like is it like a cleared out path? Is it just kind of like through the woods? Is it like
I could show you like the map. It's not like a super far distance, but it's yeah, so Luthadel is right here, and Felice is right there.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of hopping across here.
Right, but is it like just like open field? Is it like...
I think so, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's not like on a like... It's because not just like following the main road.
No,
it's like...
it's not.
It's like
its own...
It's like its own thing. But they can go faster than if they were on horse because they're essentially bullet training their way.
Yes.
Across. Yeah, it's like... Because they have the bars in the ground so they can push off and just kind of like levitate, and there's like multiple rows.
Yep.
So they can be on like a middle row.
Yes, and there's like kind of course correcting.
And then there's like side rows.
Yes.
That like sort of like...
Can keep you in the middle.
Right, and so then you can just kind of like zoom forward.
Yeah. Because
you're just kind of like pushing. You just have way up there, and then you just start like going. Because you're sort of... like, I guess, like, leaning, and it's like, sort of, yeah, they're mag training.
Yeah.
They're fucking bullet trains, and they're just like, zoom.
Yeah, like leaping over them.
Yep.
Yep, in like arcs.
Mm-hmm. Because like, I imagine if you had more of them set up, you could just kind of like, zoom.
Yeah.
You know, just sort of like you push off of one to the next one to the next one to the next one to the next one, and you're just kind of like,
yeah,
just kind of zipping along as opposed to being like hop.
Yeah,
hop,
if they're like
hop.
closer together.
And so it's been like, they just be like, which becomes
Yeah.
at some point kind of like a smooth, smooth ride.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's making me think about like what's the Mistborn future gonna be like?
Yeah.
Once Allomancers, like what does this mean for technology?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, and it's like could something burn metals, and could something burn metals and use allomancy stuff instead of just like a person? Could you make like an allomantic engine that does cool things? I don't know. I see you like covering your face over there with the book, so I'm
just because you're talking about stuff that, like in the future in general. So
yeah, so it's like no reactions,
Exactly.
no facial expressions, and I'm like trying to just look at the mic. But yeah, it did get me thinking about that.
Yeah.
Hearing about the metal road. The metal road was very cool.
Yeah. But so then also that means like that was put there, like did like Kelsier put that there, and like
Yep. Yeah, because that was my thoughts. Like, who did all this? When?
Is it like do like Mistborns in general just like use it? Because like we know there's other Mistborns and like Mistings and stuff. Is that like
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my next note is ATM time.
Yeah.
Followed immediately by, wow, it really was ATM time, huh?
Yep, yeah, you get to learn about ATM finally, what ATM
Yes,
does.
I was so excited when it was like ATM, and I'm like, oh, we're doing it. We're like, fuck gold. We don't get to know what gold does yet, still. But ATM, I can see how it essentially makes you invincible.
Yeah.
Because it makes you Katakuri.
Yep, yeah.
It makes you
Yep.
Katakuri from One Piece. You get to
Yep.
see into the future just a little bit.
I was thinking about it when we were watching One Piece. I was thinking about this.
About
I'm pretty
ATM.
sure I mentioned it,
Yeah.
like, at some point being like, this reminds me of Mistborn, but can't tell you, you know.
Yeah, and like it also, again, I know that he's a D&D nerd, and that's like, I think there's like a spell called like foresight
Okay.
or something that essentially lets you see a little, just like a little bit into the future for
Yeah.
a certain amount of time. I think it's like a 9th level spell or something.
Okay.
That's like, I forget, like maybe like, I don't know, some good amount of time. It's like you can't be surprised, and
Okay.
like you have advantage on all these things, and all these other things have disadvantage against you or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's a thing. So it's like, here you go, use your 9th level spell.
I'll read what like kind of what they say. ATM lets you see a little bit into the future, or at least it lets you see what people are going to do a little bit in the future.
Yep.
In addition, it enhances your mind, allowing you to deal with the new information, allowing you to react more quickly and collectedly.
Yeah. It also makes me think of King Crimson from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Because how does King Crimson work? One of the ways that King Crimson works is that he can see a little bit into the future. It's just that everything else about his power that is confusing. Because he has a substand epitaph that lets him see a little bit into the future. Also, never forget, stands can only have one power, and you can only have one stand. And his stand is King Crimson, but he has a substand that's epitaph, which isn't a separate stand because you can only have one stand, and a stand can only have one power, and you know, it's anyway. This has been my mini JoJo's rant.
I love it.
Yeah, my next note was Katakuri is Mistborn, but I already made that joke. And this has crazy implications for the metaphysics of the world. I need to talk to Ham about causality and determinism now.
Yeah.
ATM burns fast as fuck.
Yep.
And then Ham ATM economics, yes. Because shortly after I said I need to talk with Ham about this, Kelsier was like, there's only a finite amount of it, and it burns really quickly, and the nobility only have a little bit of it. And it's only precious because we burn it.
Yes.
But then when we burn it, we make less of it, which makes it even more scarce.
Yeah, ATM is only valuable because of allomancy. So if we didn't burn it, it wouldn't be worth the fortune that it is. Of course, if we do burn it, we make it even more rare. It's a kind of interesting relationship. Ask Ham about it sometimes. He loves talking about ATM economics.
Yeah. And I was like, I was just thinking we need to talk to Ham about this. I wasn't thinking about economics, but I'm down to chat economics with Ham.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, the only way to kind of counter it is to also burn ATM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then it's like, I like the way it's like, yeah, because then you can see the future and they can see the future, so you can see what they're going to do, so that changes what they're...
Yes.
You know, it's like, you're changing what you're going to do. Because ATM lets you actually have free will for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is, like, fucked up to think about. And also I said, so burning metal does seemingly fully destroy it. No law of conservation of matter here, baby. But I imagine that will come up at some point. Because Sanderson's too much of a nerd for it not to come up. And he's already thinking about the economics of it becoming more scarce by burning it.
Yeah.
So.
There are whole sections at the end of these books called Ars Arcanum where he, like, just... It's just, like, he goes through, like...
Yeah.
Descriptions of metals and other stuff.
I think that I think in Kingdom Hearts there's a move called Ars Arcanum. Anyway.
I don't think there's one at the end of this. I don't know if it's called that yet in, like, this book.
Mm-hmm.
But later on, there's, like, those sections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, it's a really fun one. I was like, what does ATM do? And I never would have guessed that, but it's so interesting still. I'm like, okay.
I'm excited.
You're saying, like, oh, you're pretty much invincible when you burn it. I'm like, I understand now.
Yes.
Because that's dope as hell.
Yep.
Fucking... And see, I still have the question of, can you be an ATM misting?
Yeah.
Because it's like, that would be hard to find out.
Right.
But if you were, then damn, I want to be that kind of misting. my which misting do you want to be question? Now I'm like, ATM.
I love it.
Because that's fucking crazy. Although ATM doesn't exist in our world, so
yeah.
You know. But
well, I mean, if you're doing
if we're assuming
doing fantasy superpowers, you know.
Yeah, then we assume that we just like have ATM that I can get a hold of somehow.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah. Oh yes, perhaps the Lord Ruler, knower of Gonna restart that. Perhaps
knower of anime.
Knower of anime. Yes, the Lord Ruler, knower of anime. Well, you see, because I have perhaps the Lord Ruler, knower of allomancy, presumably, has a secret metal of his own, and Lord Ruler has so much atium, can he, like, flare it or something and see way far in the future?
Okay.
And if he can see way far into the future, maybe he knows anime. It all comes around.
Lord Ruler knows anime.
Yes, Lord Ruler, knower of anime. Of course he knows anime. That's why he's such an edgelord. He's like, I know what I've got to do. I've been watching anime. So I know that I've got to, like, unite man under a single empire or whatever. He's got, what was it? Chunibyo? When you're a middle schooler and you have delusions that you're an anime main character.
Yeah, I think there's that in Psyche K, like one of the characters.
Yes,
like,
I remember that guy. I remember getting to that guy.
Him.
Yes, because he refers to other people as like extras or something. Yeah. Yes, I do remember that guy because Mob's like, what? Because that's Mob's reaction to like most everything.
Yeah, you are mixing series. Psyche.
Oh.
Yeah. They're really close. I totally get it. And we've only watched a little bit of both.
Like you said, Psyche K, and I didn't even think about Psyche K at all. My brain went straight to Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
Yes. But yes, there is the guy in Psyche K who has that same kind of deal. Can he even do anything?
No.
That's right. Yeah, because in Psyche K, he can't do shit. And which is funny because Psyche K can.
Yes.
While in Mob Psycho, the joke is that the guy can do shit, but not nearly as much shit as Mob, because Mob and Psyche K are both OP psychically. But Psyche K is actually more OP than Mob is.
Yes, I think so.
Just
definitely.
By sheer power of he's a gag manga character, so he can just literally do anything.
Yeah, like he basically has genetically modified the entire population, like, in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's like... It's just, like, throwing out his, like, I also did that. I didn't want to stand out too much with my pink hair, so I genetically modified the population so that it was a normal thing to happen in the population, and, you know,
it's
all
like,
sorts of stuff like this.
I made anime characters in real life, essentially. Yeah, because it's like, Psyche K is just straight up omnipotent.
Oh, yeah. Basically.
While Mob is just like...
extremely powerful.
It's just extremely powerful in the way that one likes to do that for characters. Because it's like, One Punch Man, he's a bit more like straight up, like, gag manga level
of like powerful.
Of powerful, because it's just like... Because that's the gag, it's like he kills everything in one punch.
Yes.
So it's like, you know... serious punch. I'm just thinking about One Punch Man now, which is always a good time. I never watched the second season, which I hear was probably for the best. But I hear
It's fine.
But I hear that the manga's good.
Yeah.
I hear that the manga's really good. But that's not important because this
not
isn't
what we're doing.
This isn't let's talk about anime and manga, although it should be, knowing us.
Just a couple tangents.
Just a couple tangents. Podcasts are about tangents.
Exactly.
It's part of the fun.
Exactly.
We haven't been going on enough tangents, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I think that perhaps the Lord Ruler can, because we know that when you flare a metal, it do more.
Yeah.
So if you flare atium,
it burns a bit faster and stronger.
Yes, it burns faster and stronger. So when you flare atium, you can just see more into the future, I imagine. But it's like he keeps hold of like most of it because it's just a really powerful thing to have.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, can he like how far into the future is he looking?
Yeah.
And can he be like, yeah, of course I had. Because in my mind, I'm like, did he know that he was going to be there and do the shit, Yeah. But it's like, he can't see that far into the future, I imagine. Who knows? I have new atium theories based on actual knowledge instead of literally nothing.
Yay!
Woo! And also, I'm like, perhaps the Lord Ruler, fucking creator of allomancy.
Yeah.
Gifter of allomancy to the people. So he would have you believe. Maybe he has secret metals of his own. Because Kelsier's like, I have this 11th metal that I can't burn.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, and he's trying to figure out.
And it's like, and I'm just like, what? It's like, what's the process of figuring it out look like? Because Min just swallows that atium and it's like, I can burn it no problem, and the effect is pretty apparent.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's up with the 11th metal?
Yeah, she can normally like feel like a well of power or whatever when she like looks for it.
So what's up with this 11th metal? And also, all the metals have come in pairs. So if he has a secret 11th metal, then maybe the Lord Ruler has a secret 12th metal.
Yeah.
That's an alloy. That's some bullshit, Yeah, and it's also, see, now I'm like, because I know that one person was like, oh, ATM got like retconned or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what changes about ATM?
Yeah. The only Mistborn book I haven't read is called The Lost Metal. I don't know if it's about ATM, but all of the stuff that I've read has been very intriguing, like that has anything to do with Era 1 Mistborn. So I'm excited to see like if ATM,
is
hard,
if it has
I'm
anything
excited.
to do.
I'm excited to see what he does because I normally like his stuff. It's hard to talk about.
Yeah. But yeah, so in chapter 14 or no, still chapter 13.
Okay.
Kelsier pulls the coin bag trick on Vin. Pulls her coin bag trick on her.
Yes.
And so that's fun. You get the fun little reversal.
Yeah.
She's following after him.
Yeah.
Like she was earlier, and he's like, you can come along, I'll teach you about ATM.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to because he's like, it's dangerous. And she's like, this part, it felt a little, there was something about this part that felt a little more, I don't know how to put it, on the nose in a way. Not on the nose, but like, I've seen this before.
Okay.
Where it's like, it's like, I'm here to be a Mistborn, and you won't let me be a Mistborn, and let me come with you, and I want to be useful, and I want to be helpful to the team, and that so far has been the part where I'm like, okay, this feels a little like I've seen this before, but it's like, it's understandable, it's like, she's like, I want to fucking do it and be a part of the shit, and he's like, you used to be so like quiet and hiding away and all that sort of stuff. And now here you are berating me.
Yeah.
So it's fun. We get to see her sort of like growth in that way. But yeah, it does feel like, it's like, I don't know. That moment was like, no, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah.
And then...
You need more practice. The best practice is doing, Vin said. My brother trained me to steal by taking me on burglaries. It's too dangerous. Kelsier, we're planning to overthrow the final empire. I don't really expect to live until the end of the year anyway.
Yes, that part as well, because we talked about that in the previous episode. How it's like, she doesn't really have a lot of prospects.
Right.
Outside of this, because everything's fucked. And she's like, listen, I've already resigned myself to the fact that, like, this is a death sentence.
And this is also the best life she's had her entire life.
Oh,
by a long shot.
Yes. Yes. See, now I'm thinking about, we've been watching Misfits and Magic.
Yeah.
That Dimension 20 season. Yeah. And Evan...
Like, actual play.
Yes, and Evan Kelp.
Yeah.
How it's like, this is the best day of my life. It's like, you said that the other day. It's like, you gotta realize we spiked pretty hard.
It's very Vin.
Yeah, it's like, no, things have just been really bad up until this point. So honestly, this has been great.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's like, cause she's right. You know, it's like, listen, the whole thing is dangerous.
Right.
But also, Kelsey's
also they're going into Creditshaw.
Yeah, it's like, let's just break into the Lord Ruler's house, his personal house.
Well, he was betrayed last time. That's how they knew he was there. So this time, he didn't tell anyone, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, he's like, my plan is that I have no plan, because last time the plan didn't work. And I mean, in a sense, having no plan worked better this time.
He did not get captured and get sent to the pits.
He did not.
You are right.
Go to the pits of Hath Sin, but it's like, yeah, no, it's dangerous. Actually, turns out Kelsier was right, and it's real dangerous. Yeah. Don't do it.
We should probably talk about chapter 14 then. I think that's where we're at.
I think we are now in chapter 14. In chapter 14, it's like I have much less notes.
Yeah, because it's a lot of action.
Because there was a lot of action. Yeah. And so I was just, like, sitting there listening.
Yeah, there's less stuff specifically to, like... There's a few things to highlight, but, yeah. Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, what was it? Like, last episode was, like, how long? Like, it wasn't quite 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we're, like, 2.5 hours. And it's like, do we want to save these last 2 chapters, or do we want to just, like, push through?
Are we at 2.5 hours?
No. We're at, like, an hour and a half.
Okay, yeah.
Last time we were, like, at not quite 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, like... We were talking about maybe splitting it up, so...
Yeah. We could probably... We can do this, and we can always record another intro or whatever if we need to.
Yeah. But yeah. So I have less notes for chapter 14, but the notes I have are... Doubts about Kel's 11th medal. Mm-hmm. Because she's like, but you have the 11th medal that can kill the Lord Ruler, right? And he's just like, anyway. It's like, And then later we hear that he's, has it, but he's trying to figure out how to use it, which again, doubts. The Lord Ruler has a massive aura of dread.
Yeah.
He has a depression radius.
Yeah.
Which copper does help with.
Yes.
So it's interesting.
There's something wrong. There is something, Kelsier, she said. The palace feels wrong somehow. That's the Lord Ruler, Kelsier said. He radiates like an incredibly powerful soother, smothering the emotions of everyone who gets close to him. Turn on your copper. That'll help make you immune.
It's so interesting. He just has, like, a debuff aura. Mm-hmm. My next note is Vin's first kill. Oh no.
Yeah. Her first kill is actually 4 people at once, basically.
Yep, she hits multiple people at once with coins.
I just killed 4 men, Vin thought, stunned. Mm-hmm. Before, Reen had always done the killing.
Yeah. It's worse knowing that she's like 16.
I'm pretty sure. Let me check, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was. Like 16, 17.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like shit's going down. Kelsier's fucking shit up like he does, and then Vin's got to kill some people, and it's like, ugh. It's like, oh no, poor Vin. She's like, why? It's like
16.
And she's like,
I have Final Empire.
I have this feeling like the Lord Ruler's depression thing but I still have my copper up, and it's like, yeah, I think you just feel bad because you killed someone.
Yeah.
I also have, they're describing the, like, images. It's like she's walking around, it's like the stained glass, but, less abstract or something like that. And it's, depictions of the Lord Ruler.
Yes. I'll read it really quick.
Yeah, because I have a mountain, a large cavern, a pool of light, and something very dark.
Yeah, I'll read it really quick. Vin extinguished her tin, following Kelsier through the archway and into the room. 6 braziers burned with open flames at the corner of the large dome-roofed chamber. In contrast to the simple corridors, this room was covered with silver inlaid murals. Each obviously represented the Lord Ruler. They were like the windows she had seen earlier, except less abstract. She saw a mountain, a large cavern, a pool of light, and something very dark. The center of the room was dominated by a small structure, a building within the building. Ornate, with carved stone and flowing patterns, the single-story building stood reverently before them. All in all, the quiet, empty chamber gave Vin a strange feeling of solemnity. And, there's markings on the door, like letters on the door that Vin doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm. It makes me... I mean, everything makes me think of Wheel of Time, but, it just kind of makes me think of it. It's like... these contrasting things, a mountain and a cavern, so it's like an abundance of earth, or a recession, a pool of light, and something very dark.
Yeah.
These sort of like yin and yang concepts. But also I'm just thinking about, like, you know, the mountain makes me think of, like, what is it? Not Mount Doom. Mount whatever.
Dragon Mount,
I guess. Well, but there's like the place that, like,
yeah, that's where he turned into a mountain.
yeah, I know that. I'm where's the Dark Lord at?
Oh, Shao Ghul.
Yeah, Shao Ghul. Is that a mountain?
No? Well, yeah.
It's like, I know that we've been there, but I don't remember if it's like a mountain or not. I know that there's like a cavern that you have to go through because you have to go through that tunnel.
Yeah, I think there's a mountain there.
Yeah, so it kind of makes me think of that. But also like a pool of light and something very dark.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, the deepness makes me think of the dark, you know, the Great Lord of the Dark. It's all this like formless darkness.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, I'm expecting it to be like space itself.
Yeah.
You know? And that's my last note for chapter 14, because then a bunch of fucking action happens. Yep. Non-stop.
Then he opened the door and there's a Steel Inquisitor smiling at him.
Yep, and it's like, uh-oh, Steel Inquisitor time.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the few things I have highlighted here is the Inquisitor turns and goes, Kelsier, the survivor of Hethsin, the creature said in a grinding voice. Then he turned to Vin, and you, I've been looking for you. I'll let this one die quickly if you tell me which nobleman spawned you, half-breed.
Yeah.
So he's trying to figure out her dad.
Who's your dad?
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of action. She's trying to run away. Kelsier's like, run, gets her away, and, yeah, there's not anything specifically, Oh, I did want to mention, as she's running away, I'll need something to block with. Something that I just dropped. There we go. I dropped the book and lost my spot for a second. I'll need something to block with. Something that isn't made of metal. As she heard the Inquisitor step into the room, she found what she needed. A large, leather-bound book sitting beside the altar. She grabbed it, then hesitated. There was no use being rich if she died, and she uses ATM.
Yep.
But she runs out with that giant leather book.
And her using ATM is so cool, because the guy, like, throws ninja stars at her, essentially. There's, like, these triangular bits of metal that he, like, pulls to himself and then shoots at her. And she, like, uses the ATM to see where they're going and hit them all with the book so that, like,
yes,
they hit in the book. And I'm like, that's cool. It's very cool. Like the descriptions and stuff are all cool, but it's all just like,
yeah, it's not really a ton to talk about. It's cool action, very fun to read. But yeah,
I was definitely like, oh my god.
yeah,
I was definitely up in it, and it's like shit gets crazy, going like all over the place. She gets
yep.
stabbed real bad.
Yeah, she's trying to use the spires to like pull on them to escape, and she's getting chased down by 2 Steel Inquisitors.
Yep, I knew that we were gonna be bouncing in between those
Yep.
spires.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, I'm like literally thinking about this scene specifically, and I'm like,
yep, there it is. It's ooh baby, and she's like on pewter to keep herself going.
Yes. Which is like dangerous, but it keeps her going.
Dangerous, but it keeps her going.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
she's like, I gotta bandage my wound while I'm still on pewter because the pewter's keeping me going.
Yeah.
And it's just like, she's running.
Yep.
And
then she gets like cornered by an Inquisitor, and so then we get this part. It was growing dark again. No, it was just her mind. Her vision grew dark, her eyes closing. Her wound didn't hurt anymore. She couldn't even think. A sound, like shattering branches. Then arms gripped her. Warm arms, not the arms of death. She forced her eyes open. Kelsier? She whispered. But it wasn't Kelsier's face that looked at her, streaked with concern. It was a different, kinder face. She sighed in relief, drifting away, as strong arms pulled her close, making her feel oddly safe in the terrible storms.
There was, for some reason, for like a hot second, I was like, is that the Lord Ruler?
I love it.
Like, because I thought we were about to get like some weird bit where it's like we see like the charismatic Lord Ruler, you know?
Yeah.
Who's like, oh, he actually seems like maybe he's kind of a cool guy. And like, what's up? I thought we were going to get some weird shit like that out of nowhere. I don't know why. I'm just
I mean, at Craddock Shaw, she's trying to escape and,
Yeah, for some reason I thought that was going to be the weird twist. But no, it was Sazed. Sazed
yeah,
saves
which we realize in the next chapter.
Yep. Next chapter, we get to find that out. But, like, they just... Excuse me. You can't, because the next chapter they just say shit about terracemen, and I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah, terracemen.
Because I'm like, fuck yeah, Saz saving Vin, and I wrote Sazed for a hot second, blah blah blah. Metal mines? An entire metal mine? Question mark? Exclamation point, question mark. And yeah, just like, what the fuck does that mean? You can't just say metal mind like it makes sense. What the fuck does that mean?
There's a possibility you could hear our roommates in the background. I just heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it showed up on the audio there. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just like, what the fuck does a metal mine mean? And like, I need to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's just like a bunch of, and then I have, the rest of my notes are the homeland of the Lord Ruler, Clenium.
Yes.
The Lord Ruler can be decapitated, burned to a skeleton, but always comes back. That was quite something. So the Lord Ruler is just Wolverine, essentially. He can, like, to be like, oh yeah, he got, like, fully locked in a burning building one time, came out as, like, a skeleton, and then, like, regrew himself.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. When he got decapitated, did he have to put his head back on, or did he just grow a new head? So many questions. Did he grow a new body? That'd be funny. Yeah, and then Children of a Bleed Sun, because I miswrote it.
Yes.
Metal as hell.
Yeah. The part of the next chapter.
Yep.
Yeah, so let me see what I have highlight here. basically them berating Kelsier for taking Vin with him.
And he's like, I didn't even want to do it.
He tried not to. He really tried not to.
But he does feel very bad about it.
He feels horrible about it. But what was he gonna do? She would have followed him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
And he says as much. and it's just like, he's like, yep, I'm a madman. I'm the worst. I've been fucking horrible this whole time.
Right. And Dachshund's like, and you left her there? And like, but like, we know that he tried to get her out first. Like that, like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And did everything he could.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Lestebornes sees someone coming. Big man, robe. The back door to the kitchen slammed open. A tall, dark form in wet robes stood in the rain, and he carried a cloth-wrapped figure in his arms. Sazed. She is badly wounded. Master Hammond, I require some pewter. Her supply is exhausted, I think.
Yeah.
And so then we see them pouring it down her throat, and poured the liquid down the unconscious girl's throat. The room felt silent, the sound of pounding rain coming through the still open door. Vin's face flushed steadily with color, and her breathing seemed to steady. To Kelsier's elementic bronze senses, she began to pulse softly with rhythm, not unlike a second heartbeat.
Yeah.
And so it seems like using pewter, or like using metals, your body learns to use them kind of automatically.
Yeah, because Caesar talks about, it's like, oh, good, she's...
Yes.
Yeah.
I feared her body was too unfamiliar with allomancy to burn metals unconsciously. There's hope for her, I think.
Yep.
I shall require a pot of boiled water, some bandages, and the metal coat bag for my rooms. Quickly now.
Yep. So there's a brief little bit where it's like, big man in a robe, and they're like, oh shit.
Yes, this is it then. I've brought death to the crew. I've led inquisitors right to them.
Yep, and when we see, like, Ham pull out his fucking...
a wooden stave.
And Dachshund gets out
yes.
knives or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah.
yeah.
Because, like, at some point we're gonna have to see, like, Ham just absolutely go to town on a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because he's a bruiser. Yeah. That's, like, his thing. And so, like, he's gonna fucking train Vin at some point.
Yeah.
Since they're all gonna train Vin at some point, I imagine. And, that'll be cool, probably.
Yeah.
We'll get to see Ham go fucking apeshit. Get to see him use his, either fighter or barbarian skills.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe a bit of both. Because, I mean, burning pewter is kind of like barbarian rage in that it, like, reduces the damage that you take, in a sense. And, because it's both a constitution and a strength thing. It's like both a can endure more and can deal more damage, which is very like rage-y, barbarian-y. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna mention this real quick. Just talking about Sazed. Vin, however, was no ordinary person. Pewter would keep an allomancer alive long after their body should have given out. In addition, Sazed was no ordinary healer. Religious rites were not the only thing that keepers stored in their uncanny memories. Their metal minds contained vast wealths of information on culture, philosophy, and science.
Their metal minds.
And then, I came to Luthadel as quickly as I could. I used up an entire metal mine to make the trip with haste. I was still too late.
What the fuck does that mean? I used up an entire metal mine. What does that mean? Metal mind, not metal mine.
Yeah, metal mind.
What does that mean, metal mind? How is your mind metal? There's a Critical Role thing. Fucking, we were talking about the Cobalt Soul, and the Cobalt Soul fucking subclass that Matt Mercer came up with. One of its things is Mind of Mercury, I believe, which just makes me think of that. I think that's more just about because, like, Mercury is like a metal known for, like, you know,
yeah,
because like it's used sort of metaphorically, Mercury, like, you know, being mercurial means that you change quickly because
Yeah.
mercury is a metal that's liquid, and so it's like known for being volatile. You put it in like thermometers and
Yeah.
it goes up and down, that sort of stuff. So it's like quicksilver
Yeah.
so it's but yeah, it's just like because we talked about the keepers being like the cobalt soul
Yes.
at one point, so it just made me think of it
It
in metal
very
mind.
much, yeah.
I'm just like, what do you mean a metal mind, you piece of shit? I'm just imagining, because in my head I'm just like, he's just got a little metal brain that he just like
I love it.
There's just these little metal brains, and he just I used an entire metal mind.
I love it.
And just swallow that bad boy. And it's like, what kind of metal is it? Oh, don't
Mind metal.
Mind metal. With mind bullets. That's a Tenacious D Wonder Boy. Yeah, that's where that comes from. And then melted him with mind bullets. That's telekinesis, Holmes. Something like that.
All right.
Wonder Boy is a fun song. Tenacious D, it's fun because they're like really good musicians and also funny.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to know more about this Terraceman bullshit.
Yep. Yeah, and so then they're also, so at the end of the chapter, they're talking about, they have this book that,
Yes.
that Vin brought. I found it at the palace while I was searching for the child. It is written in Clenny. Clenny, the language of Clenium, the ancient pre-ascension homeland of the Lord Ruler.
Yeah.
And he asked if he could translate it, and he's like, later. But yeah.
Yeah, which like in the audiobook it's like Clenium.
Yes.
Clenium, which is some bullshit that I'd do. Like, just being real, because I think about conlanging stuff and I'm like, how? It's like, yeah, KH, sure, I'll take it. It works. You could do like X, but then that's like, people don't always know.
Yeah.
CH, but also you see like KH and you're not like you're like Clenium.
Yeah.
Clenium.
Yeah.
But in the audiobook it's like Clenium.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting it to be Clenium.
There's someone in Elantris, another Cosmere book, Raytheon, which is HR. Let me look up how it's spelled.
Yeah, because when I heard Clenium or Clenny, I was like, all right, I need to grab the physical book and see how this is fucking spelled, because like, what is that? And I was expecting it to be like Clenium with an H, and then there was a K in front, and I was like, oh, you surprised me with that K. But yeah, I'm curious as to what Children of a Bleeding Sun is going to be about. Hrothen?
Yeah, that's not how they say it in the audiobook, but I mean it could.
How do they say it in the audiobook?
They say it like Raytheon, kind of?
Hrythian?
Yeah.
Hrythian?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like, where's the on coming from? Hrythian? Because it's just like an EN, but you know.
Yeah.
Yep, so that... And so then at that point...
Yeah.
We were done.
Yeah, they're basically like, we don't know whether or not Vin will live. Or he's
right.
like, ask me once we know whether or not Vin will live, whether it's all worth it.
Yeah, Dockson's like, was it worth it? And it's like, well, we'll find out. We have this book. We got this book potentially saying something about the Lord Ruler, where he came from.
Yep.
Just in some random room in his house. We grabbed his Bible, maybe? It was by an altar.
Yeah, because it's a room, because, like, he goes there, because, let me actually read this, like, because he goes there a certain amount of, like, on a schedule.
Right, but, like, the room that she grabs the book from wasn't, like, the room,
It was the room outside of the room.
Okay.
But, like, this area was still, like, it still had the murals with the mountain, right. So it's still, like, a,
So it's still in the middle, but it's not like the middle that he was like looking for.
Yeah, let me
Yeah, it's like every 3 days or something like that. Once every 3 days he visits. It was like really frequently.
It was after where I thought it was. Because she's asking, our target is a tunnel complex at the base of one of the far right spires. We're heading for a room at the very center of that complex. What's inside? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out. Once every 3 days, and today isn't one of them, the Lord Ruler visits this chamber. He stays for 3 hours, then leaves. I tried to get in once before 3 years ago.
Yep.
And that's when he was captured.
Every 3 days.
Yep, he stays there for 3 hours and then leaves.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so then that book that she grabbed was in the room with the murals outside of the smaller room within the room that she talks about.
Right, because she's like a building inside of a building.
Yeah, so she sees the murals with the mountain, large cavern, pool of light, and something very dark. The center of the room was dominated by a small structure, a building within the building, ornate with carved stone and flowing patterns. The single-story building stood reverently before them.
And so it wasn't in that building.
No, it was in...
But it was in this room that she's in currently.
Yes, yeah, I believe so.
But, like, where? Because there's, like, an altar and stuff in this room?
Yeah.
Because, like, I thought she goes off...
it is down the hall.
Yeah, because it's like she goes into some other room, but she doesn't go into, like, the room. That book's not from the...
No.
Because she, like, runs away from there, because Kelsey opens the door and there's fucking 3 Steel Inquisitors and they gotta run. So she...
Yes.
So she doesn't get it from that room, but she gets it from a different room that's, like, a church room for some fucking reason. Chapel and shit. Chapel and shit. I'm bad at determining physical space in these kind of books. I'm bad at, like, knowing that shit. Which is why Game of Thrones is such a pain for me sometimes, because there's, like, military tactical stuff based on where people are, and I'm like, I don't know where anyone is or where they're going. It'll be important when it becomes important. The one thing I know is that, like, Brienne of Tarth is going in the exact wrong direction that she needs to be going. If she wants to actually, like, find the Stark kids.
No, I think it is in this room, maybe. It was a room with, like, an altar and candelabra and other religious stuff.
Right. What was it like?
So I'm trying to... Yeah, it was a book beside the altar. I think just in a side room. Near the room with the murals and the smaller room.
Yeah.
With a bunch of other, like, religious stuff.
Right. So it's like I imagine it's like a big open room. I'm imagining it's like not Times Square. It's like fucking Grand Central Station, and then in the middle of Grand Central Station there's like a gazebo, but like a house-sized gazebo.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like a huge space and then like a...
Yeah, and then like a regular-sized house in the middle of
basically.
it. And in there is the secrets. In there is where the Lord Ruler goes to secretly lie on his back and eat donuts. Because he is Katakuri.
Oh my god, I love it. That's great.
Yep. Donuts.
I love seeing the Lord Ruler as Katakuri now.
Yes,
especially with just fucking eating donuts.
Yep, that's just where the Lord Ruler goes. He spends 3 hours eating donuts and taking a nap.
Every 3 days.
Every 3 days.
For 3 hours.
For 3 hours. Yeah, that's where he gets all of his donuts in. But yeah.
Yeah, so we're now at the beginning of part 3.
Yeah, is there a part 4?
There is, I believe. I think there's 5 parts.
Oh, part 5 even.
Yeah, so part 3... I can look at the index. I don't know why I'm fucking flipping through the pages. Yes, there's 5 parts, and an epilogue, and yeah, the Ars Arcanum.
Yep. Dancers in a sea of mist. Believers in a forgotten world. Cool.
Yep.
That sounds like some, Dream of Spring type shit. The last Song of Ice and Fire book is supposed to be called A Dream of Spring.
Okay.
And Believers in a Forgotten World or whatever it is kind of makes me think of that.
Yeah. Do you want me to read the beginning opening bit before chapter 16 to leave us off?
Sure. Well, we can end out with that.
Yeah.
And then do our little goodbye.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm gonna read it really fast and then read it out loud. Okay. Many think that my journey started in Clenium, that great city of wonder. They forget that I was no king when my quest began. Far from it. I think it would do men well to remember that this task was not begun by emperors, priests, prophets, or generals. It didn't start in Clenium or Cordell, nor did it come from the great nations to the east or the fiery empire of the west. It began in a small, unimportant town, whose name would mean nothing to you. It began with a youth, the son of a blacksmith, who was unremarkable in every way, except perhaps in his ability to get into trouble. It began with me.
Wow, that's it's like, what if Rand, Matt, and Perrin were all one person? And that's the Lord Ruler. Well, alrighty.
Yeah, so that's
a little something for next time. And what will we be doing next time?
Yeah, I should have looked at that.
Yeah.
I always think about that and then I don't.
Well, so if we're going by the roughly 2 hours for each, chapters 16, 17, and 18 are 27 minutes, 30 minutes, and 54 minutes. So the first 2 together, that's like 57 minutes, and then 54 minutes, so that's almost 2 hours. And then chapter 19 is 37 minutes, so it's like maybe the next 3 would be fine, since they're like 2 half hours in about an hour.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be even a little bit shorter than this one.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. We can do through chapter 19 then?
I was...
Or
16, 17, 18 is
Yeah.
what I was thinking, but we could do 19 if you wanted.
Where...
We should probably come up with these beforehand.
Yeah.
But we always do it just in the episode like this.
Trying to find the separation between 18 and 19 here.
The separation between church and state.
There we go. Yeah, so this is... Yeah, that sounds good. We can do through 18.
Alright.
Yeah.
Then we will do 16 through 18 next time.
All right.
Alright, so this has been...
Let's talk about book.
We have talked about book. And now you can go forth and think about book on your own time. Which is what I said last time, so we'll see if that sticks.
I love it.
But yeah, y'all have a good whatever time.
A lovely time.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.